You just.
Okay,
missed it.
sorry. Hi, Brad. I'm gonna call the meeting to order. It's 7:31. In attendance is Randy. I'm just gonna name first names. Randy, Corey, Dimitri, Dennis, Brad, and then alternates are.
I'm not an
She's
alternate.
not Mary. Alternate is
John.
John. Thank you. And
Brian and Brian.
and Brian
There's Brian.
and Dennis is here. And Andrea is absent. She's traveling. All right. Review. The meeting's been called to order. Review of April minutes. And June minutes. So let's take May 1st. Let's take May's first. Does anyone have any comments or items that they want to address in the May minutes? Okay, could I have a motion to approve the May
I'll
minutes?
make a motion to approve the meeting.
Dimitri made a motion. May I have a second?
I'll second it.
Randy seconded. All in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed? Any abstentions? All right, unanimously passed. The June 2025 minutes, are there any comments or things that you'd like to add to those? Hey, not hearing any, may I have a motion to approve the June 2025 minutes?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Dimitri made a motion to approve, seconded.
I will.
Randy seconded it. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All
Aye.
opposed? No oppositions. So that passes unanimously also. Okay, I'll take over for Andrea since she's gone. It's pretty easy. There have been no changes to the budget or expenses since last month. Are there any questions on that? Okay. Chairman's report. CSA update. I've gotten comments from O-Line. I've made my comments and O-Line Shores, Old Colony are working on theirs. They are going to get an attorney to review the document as there were extensive changes to it, and they just want to make sure that their interests are protected. So it's going to take a little longer than I thought. I wanted all the comments back by this before July 3rd, but I did not get them. So that's about it. I still expect that the CSA will certainly be completed and signed prior to referendum. Sewer project status. The DEEP authorized Miami Beach to put out their project to bid last week. They're in the process of doing that now. O-Line Shores, I haven't been able to get a status. Jay is traveling out of country and on vacation, and I'm not going to bug him while he's away. So O-Line Shores was in the same position as Miami Beach as far as being a DEEP for approval. I haven't received anything from DEEP saying that they were approved, so it still may be a DEEP. Referendum status. So we are going to referendum. There have been changes to the timeline because the town can't do it when requested, I guess. So the new timeline is it looks like the Board of Selectmen will vote at the August 19th meeting. and I'm sorry, the August 18th meeting. And the Board of Finance will weigh in on August 19th. On August 18th at 6:30, they'll in the Oldham High School auditorium, there'll be a public meeting for informational session on the Soundview Sewer Project. On September 2nd, 6:30 PM, Oldham High School auditorium, there'll be a town meeting to move the Soundview Sewer Project request for additional funding to referendum. On September 9th, 12 PM to 8 PM, Lime Middle School Gymnasium will hold the town referendum for voting. Those are the dates. I'm working on a presentation I will send to every member this month prior to August meeting. You can review and comment at the August meeting. That's it for the referendum. And then I guess there was an informational meeting. So I will have an informational meeting. It'll be PowerPoint. I'll send it to everyone. They can review it between when I send it in the meeting. I'll try to have it completed in the next week or two. It's only I'm really not gonna get into I'm not going to get into the history of the sewers in this meeting. If you don't know the history of the sewers by now, I don't know what to say. It's going to be more directed on why we should go out to referendum and request another $7.6 million and how it would affect the town.
So you expect by August 16th, when you have this public meeting, you'll have all the financial information that you need.
I have all the financial information.
So you don't need the information from Oldham Shores or Miami Beach?
No.
Because that doesn't change the percentage of what Soundview would be paying.
Correct. I don't understand. What they're doing an internal project, Miami Beach internal, Oldham Shores internal. How does it affect our internal project or the shared project?
Well, we are in fact 29.7 with all 4 entities involved. One entity drops out and we then become 36% or 37%. That would increase our cost in regard to the shared.
That's true, but then we would be over referendum and we wouldn't be able to do the project.
Pardon me?
We would be over referendum amount and we wouldn't be able to do the project.
We would not, right?
Right.
So I would, okay. I mean, I'll take it up, but I would think
I can't
that
control-
you would
Mary,
want to present at the public meeting all of the financial information.
I am presenting all of the financial information that would affect Old Line citizens.
Okay.
Yes, if Miami Beach and Old Lyme Shores drops out, the numbers change. But that's not a consideration at this point, Mary.
I would beg to differ.
Well, you can beg to differ all you want.
Thank you.
Miami Beach is going back out to bid.
I know.
Okay, so why do you think that they're going to drop out?
I don't know that. I don't know if they are. I don't know if they're not. I don't know what their bids are going to come in to be. I don't know. I don't know what Old Lyme Shores bids will come in to be.
Neither do I, but it doesn't affect the calculations for Old Lyme citizens.
Okay, I guess I again respectfully disagree with that. If we are 29.7 of the shared and one of the 4 drop out, obviously we're going to be more than 29.7 of the shared. That will affect our numbers.
I don't think that, number one, I don't think the DEP is going to let them drop out, as you say. They're under a consent order to put sewers in.
To do something, yes.
No, they're under consent order to put the sewers
I'm
in.
here to argue with you, Steve. I'm just
Well,
expressing my opinion.
Okay, well, thank you for your opinion.
Thank you. Let's move on.
So we have, O-Line has all the financial information that's required to present for the referendum. We would be capped out at $17.1 million of spending authority. If we can't go over that amount. So if someone dropped out, our percent goes up and we'd either have to go back out to referendum or the project becomes unviable. I don't know what to say. No one has indicated that any entity is backing out and not bidding. So I assume they're all going to bid and they're all going to get responsive bidders. And whatever those numbers are in those internal projects won't affect our costs.
I have a question.
Sure.
As far as, forgivable loan, why are we 25% when we are 29.7%?
We're not. We're 29.7%.
At least everything that I've seen is 25%.
Right. So the way the forgivable loan works is that the DEP is going to disperse the forgivable loan based on the percentages in the CSA. We are 29.7%. As a matter of fact, that the portion of the forgivable loan is rolled into our internal infrastructure at the end. 5 loans become 4. The percentages of the shared infrastructure are rolled in of the amount being financed. If it's would be rolled into 29.7 for us, 20, I don't know the other percentages,
21% for
29.7% for us. I don't know what Old Colony, I don't know the other ones because I'm not really concerned about them. They all add up to 100%. So if $10 million was financed, we would owe $2.97 million of that. And that would be rolled into our internal infrastructure loan. So there is no shared infrastructure loan at the end.
Well, I would suggest that any information that OCB comes out with should really show those percentages on their clean water funds because they're showing 25% for everybody for the 4 entities. So,
All right, I'll make
you
sure.
might want to talk.
I'll talk to them because I know how the contract, the DEP contract is written. And it's 29, it's the percent, it doesn't say anything. It says it's going to be rolled in as a percent of what's written in the CSA. Okay, so it's 29.7% for us.
So may I ask, since it's past June 30th, has everybody agreed in writing to extend the current bids, received bids?
I believe so.
There, you have that in writing? There's no
I have hours,
escalation?
Mary, I have hours in writing in the shared infrastructures. I'm not concerned with Old Colony Beach.
Oh, okay, I understand that
Okay.
you're not concerned with Old Colony, but the 3 parts of the infrastructure, those 3 contracts have been extended without increase?
Those 3 contracts have been extended with an inflationary clause.
And what is that?
It goes off of what the price of materials is on whenever the bid date closed, because that's when to October 15th.
Okay, so we don't know what that is right now.
I know that it's minimal.
Okay, and you're gonna put that into your chart, you're gonna calculate that.
I'm not going to do that because there is close to $1 million, I think $1 million or $1.4 million or $1.8 million worth of contingency. And this is an extremely small portion of what it could be. It's not on the whole contract. It's only on materials. So they would have to prove that out of the materials that they were going to purchase, the percent that they went up and they would get that.
And that's all been signed and delivered to Woodward and Curran.
We are not handling the shared infrastructure. Woodward and Curran is not the engineer for the shared
I
infrastructure.
mean, to Fuss and O'Neill, excuse me.
I believe it's all been signed and delivered to Fuss O'Neill. I get a letter from Fuss O'Neill saying that every contractor has agreed to go forward, some with inflationary clauses, some without. So unless they're lying,
No, I'm just asking because
Okay.
last month you said the pump station was quote up in the air,
as far as I know, that's now been agreed to.
but it's been resolved.
It's been resolved.
And the low bidder is still going to do the pump station. Is that correct?
Yeah, I believe that's, yes, Rainmaker, I think.
Rainmaker was the
Rainmaker
second.
Second.
He was not the low bidder.
Um,
I can pull it up, but-
the mechanical place in Middletown,
Oh, yeah.
Turner,
No,
not
it
Turner,
wasn't Turner.
begins with T.
Anyway, it was not Rainmaker. There were only two bids on the force main. Rainmaker was second highest, was the higher bid. So it was a question last month if that,
So I will send an email to Kurt Malin, who is my contact at Fuss O'Neill,
okay,
and I will ask for updated numbers before I give before you guys see it again.
that'd
I
be
will
great.
ask for
That'd be great.
updated
Thank you.
numbers. You're welcome.
Sorry about that. But
Is there any other expenses carried over from prior times that we will be charged at for Soundview and
Yes.
Area B? That perhaps right now Old
$615,000.
Colony is carrying
Mm.
for us?
Yes,
Do we know what that is?
yes. Have you looked at my worksheet?
I have looked at all your worksheets, yes.
Because it's right in there.
This worksheet? This one?
Let me see it. I
It
can't,
has a lot of writing on
I
it.
can't see
It says contingency is 5%, not, it says contingency 427. Engineering services, design stage.
how about looking at the shared infrastructure portion of that?
Okay,
What do you see there?
I see forest main and bioxide 9893. Shared trunk. These are the bids, the
Yeah.
actual bids.
Yeah, what else do you see?
I see a pump station, 5% contingency versus, I guess usually it's 10 or 20.
No, it's not.
I see a design and contract administration.
Design and contract. Yes,
Right.
that's,
What is that? Is that what?
that's what,
Old Colony is
so
doing?
I'm looking at, no. All right, shared infrastructure. You have your hard costs up above, which are bids.
Mhm.
5% contingency, almost $1 million. That's just for change orders that may come up. Highly unlikely that we're gonna have $1 million in change orders. Design and contract administration. That is the number, and I think that's gone up. I think that number has gone up. So I will ask, but I think that is what it cost to design and then administer the contract.
Is that Fuss and O'Neill? And
That is
Woodward
Fuss and
Co?
O'Neill.
Fuss and O'Neill.
That's
Right.
Fuss and O'Neill.
Okay.
That would be analogous to our well, we broke it out, design stage and engineering services.
Okay.
All right, that 1.6 million. I don't know what part of that was and is engineering and what part is
But
design
that's fine.
stage. But that's what that is.
that EDSC, the breakdown, it's design versus services during construction.
Correct.
Yeah.
I just don't know what they are. I was given a number.
No, I just,
So yes, we'll be responsible for 29.7% of half that number.
Or some portion, yeah. And then what is owed to, I know Old Colony took out like a $4 million bond. What part of that do we owe?
None, as far as I know.
Or 40 million, I guess they took out.
They authorized, I believe they authorized $40 million of borrow,
Mhm.
of which will finance their internal sewer
Mhm.
and the shared sewer project.
So we don't owe anything to Old Colony at this point?
Well, I would imagine that we owe 29.7% of whatever the design costs were on the shared infrastructure.
Design, legal?
I would say design.
Just design.
We've paid legal, we've paid everything but the design. We're a full voting member of the CSA. We paid them in two payments. One, I think, was $60,000. One was around 50 that this board approved last year. They were paid. And those represented 29.7% of all the other costs not reimbursable by CWF.
So we don't, the only thing we owe to Old Colony, you're saying, regardless of whatever else they spent on legal or obtaining a
I'm
lobbyist
saying
or
we've
whatever.
paid legal.
Pardon?
We've paid the legal.
Okay, so we don't owe anything else to Old Colony.
Not that I'm aware. Are you aware of other numbers that I'm not?
I'm asking you, Steve, you're,
Mary, I'm asking you a question.
I,
It's a valid question. Are you aware of outstanding monies that we owe Old Colony that I am not?
I understand they took out a $40 million bond. And
Okay,
we're 29.7, there should be some.
no, it's not. It's not.
there
We
should
don't
be-
owe 29.7% of 40 million. It's
Okay,
only of the shared infrastructure.
I understand that. I
Okay,
get that. I understand that, but of that, part of that 40 million must have been used toward the shared infrastructure.
no. So,
Okay,
so this is the way CWF funding works. They are bonded. They didn't borrow. They don't have a $40 million bank account. They don't have any money. CWF funds the work as it goes. So Fussett O'Neill does design work. Old Colony fills out the requisition, or Fussett O'Neill fills out the requisition. Old Colony approves it, sends it up to DEP. DEP gives Old Colony a check to pay Fussett O'Neill for design services. All right. What the bond is in this town and in each of the other beach associations is really an authorization to spend.
thank you.
It has nothing to do with floating debt around. The Clean Water Fund is the one that floats the debt and carries the risk, I guess, because they're giving the money out. There's no money. This is not. And then we pay 2%, which replenishes the fund and allows them to loan the money again.
Right. I guess I'm just concerned because I keep hearing in the PBAs about how much interest has accrued already on the loans that they've had to take out. And are we responsible for part of that?
We're responsible for accrued interest, I would assume. But you say it's 40 million. Is it exactly 40 million?
I don't know, Steve.
Right.
I
That's
don't
what,
have the
so
spreadsheet.
Mary, yes, interest has accrued. But the amount that's been spent so far is not 40 million. It's not even close.
I'm just asking if it's all reflected in your numbers. If it is, that's great.
These are the last numbers I had. If I made a mistake, then I will certainly make sure that the numbers are correct and hold a special meeting to get more money for referendum. But I don't believe I've made any mistakes. I believe there probably are inaccuracies in these numbers, but I do not believe they amount to 0.5%, 0.5%, 0.5% of anything in here. It's impossible I would have to have a formula in here to track. Well, I'd have to know exactly how much was borrowed, and then have a formula to track how much is accrued interest so that this thing is correct all the time. It's 2% a year on $4 million. I don't, in 29.7% of that. We're not talking anything substantial that would affect our numbers. Our numbers, by the way, we carry we're carrying $427,000 for our internal infrastructure, which is which is a lot of money considering the possibility of the type of change orders you can get down there. There's nothing in the ground. It's not like going into Hartford and trying to dig around gas pipe and water pipe and pipe that isn't marked or anything else. Whatever is down there, we know it's indicated on the plans. I think 5% is a very, very safe number. But if you are aware of any outstanding numbers that I have not accounted for, I think it's your duty
Hey, Judy.
to
Okay.
tell me.
Well, I
Yes.
just assume that since Old Colony is handling all the funds for the shared infrastructure, there would be a monthly spreadsheet on what's been spent, what's been owed, what's been received. You don't see that? Yeah, as a member now, as a paid member
Yeah.
of the alliance or whatever you call them now, do you see that? Do you get that spreadsheet?
I don't even have a spread. No,
Oh.
I have not seen that. What would you, that is something that we are working towards. All right.
Okay, let's move on, I guess.
We don't have a signed CSA agreement.
I know. So you paid membership into the alliance, right?
All right,
So as
we
a
have
member
paid
now-
membership into the Lions.
And so as a member in the alliance, you would be eligible to receive information from the alliance and
Yeah.
what's been spent by.
It has not been a lack of, well, I will say that Frank hasn't sent me the bank statements that I requested, but it hasn't been for lack of Frank withholding information. I haven't asked him for it.
Oh.
All right. It hasn't been a high priority of mine. I know the numbers. I got the numbers from Frank. I mean, those numbers came from Frank. But I will ask for an accounting of the shared infrastructure portion. A more detailed, I should say. The numbers came from Frank Noe that I used in my document. So I don't know, $4 million. That could be true. I don't know how much they spent on design services and engineering services on the internal
Wait,
infrastructure.
are you talking about the 4.1 by 2022 or 4.1 today? I'm not sure. what you're
I don't know I don't even know what you're referring to. You said, Frank said they've incurred $4 million in costs.
No, Rich Prendergast said that.
No, okay.
I'm
So
not sure.
I'm going to settle that right now also. Rich Prendergast, I believe, I'm not Rich, so I can't speak for him. But what Rich was saying in an article that said there have been $4.1 million spent or $4 million spent on this project was referring to all of it.
Right.
Our costs, Miami Beach costs, Old Shores costs, and Old Colony's costs,
Absolutely.
and the shared infrastructure costs.
Absolutely.
Okay, so what Old Shores in Miami Beach and Old Colony had design and engineering costs. Okay, I don't know how much they were, but if it were 4.1 million then, and you took 25% of 4 million for each of those entities, then Old Colony, or 20%, they spent around $1 million for the shared infrastructure.
I guess that's what we need to see is that kind of accountability. What Prendergast said was they spent 4.1 million and that it will be proportionately rolled into the final loan amounts that each of the 4 entities will borrow for their own sewer construction costs. But I don't see that in these numbers. So I don't know.
Well,
I don't know if we really spent 4.1 million because nobody seems to have an accounting of it. I don't know. I'm just reading what I'm reading in the paper. I don't have the privileged information.
Mary,
I don't.
I've explained to I will get the information for the shared infrastructure. That's it.
Okay.
I don't care about Miami Beach, Old Lyme Shores, or Old Colony. I'll find out how much the shared infrastructure has spent. I believe it's 1.6 million. It may have gone up a little, but at the time that I got the numbers, it was $1.6 million.
And that's reflected in this.
That's reflected in that sheet.
I don't see that.
Design and engineering services,
Oh, I thought it says design and contract administration.
design and contract administration. Yes.
And I thought that was payable to Fuss and O'Neill, right? Or no? Not to Old Colony for other expenses that they had. This is just going to Fuss and O'Neill.
Those are the costs that Old Colony will have to pay Fuss and O'Neill for the shared design and engineering services. We will have to reimburse Old Colony 29.7% of that number. Do you understand that?
It'd be great to see the spreadsheet. Thank you for trying to get it. I appreciate it.
Do you have any reservations of putting this project to one man in one organization? What happens to him if he dies? And we
I
have
don't
to send a
understand.
check to him every.
I don't understand the question. We do not send a check to Old Colony, ever. We will never send a check to Old Colony for this project.
I thought it was on usage. We have to.
No. Nope. It won't be.
Okay.
I think I need to read the New London agreement again.
Okay.
Read it. We'll read it. We'll go back and read that.
Yeah, the New London Agreement was specifically, there's a statement in there specifically for planning ahead that we put in this time around that says Old Colony or another entity, it can be transferable. By the time the project is done, we will have an entity and a maintenance and operations agreement that entity will administer the whole project, the whole system,
Right.
shall I say. So it won't go to Old Colony.
It'll
It'll go.
paid someone who's paid a town employee.
No, it may not be a town employee. It may be someone that the 4 WPCAs hire to do that work. It doesn't have to be a town employee. Are there any other questions? So I don't have a problem, by the way, of Frank Noe or Old Colony administering the contract. It's not, number one, the way it works, again, is the engineer certifies the work has been done, certifies the requisition is correct, gives it to the WPCA. The WPCA votes, yes, we'll pay it. No, we won't. Once it's voted yes, it goes up to the state DEP for review. It could get bounced back because of a mistake. Usually they don't make mistakes. If it's, let's say, $10 million requisition, the DEP will write us a check for we'll write Old Colony a check for $10 million to pay the contractors. They will debit the account $5 million because 50% is forgiven, basically, grant forgiven. And at the end, whatever that account says we owe, it's broken out 29.7% or based on the percentages and rolled into our individual loan values.
Okay.
All right. So we don't pay Old Colony anything.
I just have a terrible thought. And I've seen his bookkeeping. And you're talking 6th grade math. We're talking millions. This is something that's never been tried in this town.
I'd like to stop you there because this is a public meeting. The DEP feels as though the individual we're talking about is capable of doing this, or else they wouldn't have loaned the group. Now, Old Colony is responsible for the $40 million. They're responsible for it. We didn't sign, though Doug thinks that we signed that document as a co-signator, but I know we haven't. I know I haven't, and I don't think the town has, so I don't know why he thinks that.
Okay,
But, you know, on any given month, on a $20 million project that's gonna last 16 months or 20 months, let's say it's gonna last 20 months, it's $1 million a month that's requisitioned on average. If the contractor doesn't get paid in July for June, there's no more work being done. It stops there. So there is a definite risk avoidance by the parties involved, that even if someone were to think about taking the money, they can't get $20 million. They can only get what's requisitioned. And I don't know if I just don't see I mean, I've seen that happen. I mean, an engineering firm actually once had a guy embezzle $6 million and leave the country. But I don't see that happening. There's a lot of checks and balances
okay.
involved in this.
What's next?
New business. Oh, no. Well, I guess new business, it's the sewer ordinance. What did I do with the sewer ordinance? The sewer ordinance has been sent to our town attorney for markup. Everyone was sent the sewer ordinance. It's been reviewed by the public, had a thought.
Was it reviewed by the public in 2022 or when was it? 2022?
Whenever it was, I don't think it was
2022.
I think it was 2020.
Whenever Frank Chan was
But-
here.
No, Frank Chan wasn't here for the sewer.
No, it was in
ordinance.
April 2022.
Great, it was April 2022. That was reviewed by the public. It's been sent. I don't know why we just didn't pass it then. I mean, it seemed to me it was done. We had a couple of comments to incorporate and we would have gone out. That's where we're at now. The attorney's making changes to the document and I plan on getting it up on a town meeting to be passed.
So I think the ordinance has had some changes made to it since 2022, correct? And so has the, yes.
Except, well,
Yes. but It's,
after public comment, after those comments were incorporated, nothing's been done to it.
such a headache. I'm sorry.
Yeah, you're telling me.
Oh, yes, yeah, right. So I have some concerns about the ordinance, if I may, or if it's too late, we can't change it because it's already in the hands of the attorney.
I
and he has to
would like,
approve.
did you get it?
Yes, I got it because you sent it last month, and so I read it when you sent it.
You didn't
Yes.
comment on it before it was going to the attorney?
When what? I
You
thought we were gonna talk about it. It's on the agenda for tonight. So
Okay,
I thought it was open for discussion for tonight as
Well,
an agenda item, but
okay.
if not, that's fine. We'll do it next
It's
month.
on there. I'd like to hear your comments,
Okay,
Mary.
great. Okay. Unfortunately, I don't have a printer, so I couldn't print off the whole ordinance, but I will tell you what some of the comments, if you don't mind.
Sure.
Okay. When you first start off, you identify, you say this is a town ordinance, right?
Mhm.
And in that town ordinance, you're designating a sewer district in the footnote. It stipulates a sewer district, and it stipulates that Soundview Area B and Hawks Nest are part of that sewer district. That part alone is a little bit confusing to me if it's a town ordinance, but it's directed to a sewer district. And I'll tell you why, because in a district, like a fire district, if Rob was here, only the people in the district get to vote on items, financials, et cetera, decisions on that district, just like the PBAs. So if we are a district, if you make us a district in this document, in this ordinance, we're the only ones who get to vote.
Yeah, it's a town ordinance.
Yep.
I've asked the attorney, that's one of the things that I've asked him to look into.
Thank you, yeah.
Is- If it's a town ordinance, does it take precedence over every WPCA in
Right.
town? You know, I don't know. I don't know the answer to that,
Right.
but that's what he's been basically assigned by me
Right.
is determining the applicability to, wherever. If it's a town ordinance, all the townspeople get to vote on it.
Okay, great. So that was my second question. Have you asked an attorney's opinion on that? And would it then, if it is a town ordinance versus just a, sorry.
District ordinance.
A district, then does it apply to the PBAs as well? Because you're building something jointly with the PBAs. If you're building an ordinance, trying to get an ordinance passed to protect that something that you're building, it should encompass all the users of that system, not just a select few. That's
Well,
not fair.
I think it should be a town-wide ordinance that's applicable to everyone. I mean, the ordinance can spell out sewer districts and not have, and not be in, and still have the whole town vote on it. But
But
the
once you
reason
establish a
that's in there is because we are still a sewer avoidance town. We are a sewer avoidance town. We did not purposely set about to sewer Soundview. If you want to know the history,
No, I don't.
Bonnie
I don't.
Reenschneider was the one
I don't
that asked the DEP to come in to get us
want
sewers.
to go there.
That's where it began. Bonnie ran on getting sewers in Soundview,
Mhm.
and she won. And so she fulfilled her obligation to the voters of Soundview.
So back to the ordinance. I have to say that the definition in the ordinance of a lateral is a little bit confusing. And I think that I understand what you're trying to say, but it's confusing. And we've talked about this last month. And I think in the ordinance, you should separate the two, like just call it a pipe, the pipe from the house to the curb versus a lateral from the house to the curb, and the lateral, which is part of the system, which is in the road connected to the main force main or wherever it's connected. I don't think you should use those two interchangeably. It's too confusing.
They're not used interchangeably.
In the ordinance, if you read it, to me, it's confusing.
Okay.
Okay,
I want to say about it. First of all, the town is responsible for the law. And state trusts the town. We cannot have some view be responsible for the law. So all people in the town should be participating. They trust only the town.
Mhm.
So this is the situation we have today.
Mhm.
You cannot get only people voting on the money state will give us and have voters only people who are gonna have the vote. That's why the town is responsible.
yeah, I'm not a lawyer. I can't tell you the definition of a district and the responsibilities after that.
It's a responsibility.
Mhm.
Here is responsibility.
So,
They trust only the town.
so Mary, the definition of a lateral is from the house to the street. That's the definition of a
To
lateral,
the street,
to the main in the street,
to the main.
to the main. That's the definition of a lateral. What we've defined there is correct. It's a lateral. Now, we're responsible to fix it from the property line to the main because we consider that town property. From the property line to the house is the owner's responsibility.
I understand that
Okay.
part.
So it's all one lateral though.
Okay. I just think it would have been clearer to have it two different terms, but fine.
We did have it two different terms and we changed it after public comment. I think it was called a house drain, if I'm not mistaken.
In the next section of the ordinance.
I mean, it's a universal term in sewer systems to refer to the lateral as the line from the house to the main. And the division is, it is clear in almost, it is at the MDC. It is everywhere I've ever worked.
Except Middletown.
It's
Some
two,
middle
it's
ten.
two separate pipes, though, right?
No,
Like I have
no.
one pipe going to the curb, which is
No.
my pipe.
Oh,
No,
so-
it's one pipe. It's all one pipe.
Okay,
You own from the curb to the house.
right, but from the curb to the house, right? I have one pipe. I hire my installer to come put one pipe in from my
But
house.
to hook into the one that's already sitting there. That was installed by
I have my guy come install one pipe in
Mhm.
my basement to the curb.
Yep.
That's my pipe.
Yep.
And the lateral is connected to the main, and whoever wins the bid for the main will put that lateral in, right?
The lateral exists already.
Is what?
The lateral
It's just-
exists.
Okay,
It goes from the main to wherever you pick on your property.
perfect.
And then you know where it is. It's marked with a stake. And then your contractor comes and hooks up
Perfect.
to that.
So the guy who wins the bid puts the lateral in, and my guy puts a pipe in from my house to the curb.
No, the guy that wins the bid puts the lateral from the main to your property line.
To my property line,
Yeah.
right?
And then whoever you hire puts in the lateral the rest of the way.
Right. A separate pipe?
No, same type.
No, it's just,
All right,
it's just a pipe.
Well, wait.
Confused here.
I don't know what you mean by separate pipe. Yes, you're gonna have to buy the pipe
Yeah,
and it's going to be separated from this
it's gonna be
Lateral.
joined,
until
Yeah.
he excavates it and sticks it
Right.
into the bell end.
right.
Right,
yes.
but it's a joint. It's
It's a
just a
joint.
pipe joint.
It's not a
Right.
separate pipe.
It's two pieces joined together.
Also, that
Got it.
this should be done by licensed plumber. It cannot be any guy.
Oh, no, I understand that,
Okay,
Dimitri.
and
I know, it can't be
should
any guy.
go- I connected on the woods. I got permits for every house.
I totally understand what you're saying.
So
Has
And
to be
if I-
certified.
there should be proper pipe. It's
Mhm.
not any pipe.
Mhm.
It should be proper. pipe.
We'll get inspected. I mean.
Of course, everything's gonna get inspected. Okay, the next part, at the reasonable discretion of the town of Old Lyme WPCA shall require any such house or building be connected to the WPCA sewage system. That, to me, it's a little bit vague to say at the reasonable discretion of the town of WPCA. Either we all have to connect or we don't.
No,
Because later on in this
eventually everyone.
ordinance, you do say everyone has to connect. So to me, it's a little vague. At the reasonable discretion of the town of Old Lyme WPCA.
Well, that's, we're gonna keep, we as a group decided to keep that language.
In 2022,
Yes, in 2022.
you know, some things have changed since 2022, by the way. Some decisions you have made along the way, especially in regard to, you know, if you have two houses right now, they have one septic, one pipe, that's one lateral. That's a decision that was made somewhere. I mean, I could go through the notes and find it for you if you like.
It's one lateral. We wanted to. It's
Yes.
one lateral because the state law, which I believe Dimitri brought in, said that they can hook up as
The
one.
plumbing code, yeah. So some things have changed since 2022, since.
But
the
not
ordinance
that.
was- Well,
Not,
if you,
not that, if you don't have an exception to that rule, there's nothing in the ordinance that allows a deviation from it.
well, I thought that the WPCA had voted to abide by the plumbing code that allowed. for
No,
that.
I'm talking about upon reasonable discretion of the WPCA. That allows us to make exceptions. If it's not there, we won't be able to make any exceptions.
Such as
Too vague. A reasonable discretion.
engineered system that's already in,
Any.
Perhaps.
something like that.
I'm not,
Okay.
I'm not even talking about the number of pipes. You're saying here that you can decide if my house has to be connected and the house next to me doesn't have to be connected. I don't think
Yes,
that
that's correct.
WPCA has the expertise to make those kind of decisions. And it should, I mean, it seems subjective to me.
All right, well, duly noted. I mean, I'm not gonna bring that up for a vote if that's what you're asking.
Actually, I don't see any reason to allow somebody not to be connected.
But there's a lot of issues that go into that, Dimitri.
I wouldn't say, I wouldn't have in my mind what issue could be that we will say, okay, your house should be.
What if
Not-
someone has a conforming lot for the health department, a
Exactly.
conforming
The
lot,
problem
and they
is-
just spent $60,000?
The problem we have-
Now, the only thing they're not going to pay is the connection fee.
Well,
They'll still have to pay the assessment, but they won't pay the connection fee.
I used to have a house in East Lyme that I got, my lot was much below
Mhm.
the street.
Mhm.
And engineering didn't provide my lot on a drawing. So when it came to point to connect it, I was on a cul-de-sac.
Mhm.
They started on a cul-de-sac too high. And I got to have a pump. I went to court and court allowed me not to be connected, but I paid the fees.
Mhm. I understand that.
All right,
I get
So-
that.
this is what happened.
I know in Newington, streets away from my house. It's got city water from MDC, not connected to the sewer. So, I mean, this is an established, 20, maybe 30-year development.
Whether they've connected or not is not, does the sewer go by them?
Yeah, right in front of their house.
Right.
As a matter of fact, they just
So-
relined them.
So the homeowner's chosen not to connect.
Right.
But they still have to pay the assessment.
They only don't pay users fee.
They don't pay the user fee and they don't pay
Yeah.
the connection fee, whatever.
Or the connection fee,
is.
which is
But it's
is
not a
quite
big deal.
significant.
And they have to pump septic every 5 years.
Yes, but that's
Yes.
peanuts compared to the connection fees, really.
Connection fees,
Well, yeah, it's peanuts to the connection fees until your septic system fails.
Well, then
Then
you
the
connect.
connection fee is much
Yeah,
less.
but then you connect. So that may be 5 years, 10 years. You don't know.
All I'm saying is that they can choose not to, and all the revenue that we were expecting is going to be reduced by whatever we determine the connection fee to be. They
I guess-
still have to pay the assessment.
I just would like to explain one thing. The main problem why we need sewer in the features, the main problem is the groundwater is too high.
I know.
Period. So there is no house that could comply with groundwater compliance. We have groundwater that septic sitting in the groundwater. So this is the main problem we have. So I cannot imagine engineering system could have so much problems after all and expenses during the usage. Like in Providence, I was on a meeting of the all states meeting in Providence, and we went to Providence houses where they got so much equipment. They got filters above the ground. They got UV pumps in the ground. They got $3,000 expense in a year to service those systems. So, yeah, if you have system on your house like that, first of all, it's not going to be allowed in Oman because we have a sewer coming.
Well, it's allowed until it breaks.
Nobody will have right to put it. So I don't say we have to just think about allowing somebody not to have connection to the sewer. I don't think it's gonna happen.
Okay,
Oh,
thanks,
so
thanks.
may I continue or?
Yes, please.
Okay, in 4.5 of the ordinance says a separate and independent building sewer lateral shall be provided for every building on a building lot. We said we weren't gonna do that. We said that and reflected in the EDU calculations, we look at the property as one, whether it has 2 apartments in one building or 2 small buildings on one lot that currently share one septic system. We were going
Which,
to look at
which
that.
section is that in, Mary?
Pardon?
What section?
4.5,
4.15?
4.5 says a separate and independent building sewer lateral shall be provided every building on a building lot, except otherwise approved by the old line WPCA.
Okay.
And I'm saying, no, we already said
Except.
we were going to follow the building code that allowed 2 buildings to share one pipe. That was established by this WPCA.
We're gonna keep that. There was a reason for that, and I can explain that.
Okay.
We want to avoid people putting 2 homes up, 2 full independent homes.
They can't do it.
They can't do it to begin with.
You don't know that.
We do it
Yeah,
under
you have the
building code. You
ordinance that
cannot do
says
that.
you have clean water funds that say that you can't further develop the property
Yeah, I don't actually know.
unless you go up.
I don't-
You go on the footprint, you can go up.
I don't act, well, it doesn't say that, but I don't actually know how that's enforced. So generally what happens in after this is installed, you'll see people purchase 1, 2, maybe even 3 homes, tear them down and put up one large home on that land. It's funny if you look at especially beach type properties, when the homes are small, they become much more desirable with the sewer going through to where someone could tear them down and build a larger home. Population density generally decreases after a sewer is installed in that type of environment, not increases. If you go,
I thought just the opposite.
well, it can't get any more denser than it is.
I don't think you can do it anyway in this town with.
So I will take a look at that. I mean, it does say unless it's at the discretion of the WPCA.
WPCA.
So
Again, at the discretion of the WPCA, which, you know, what qualifies, I guess I would question qualifications there. You know, if you did keep this, for instance, we looked at the design, excuse me?
I'm just saying, if you have a whole lot more questions, it would be, I think, a good idea to just submit them in writing.
well,
I have a few, I'm almost done.
she's and she, I think that she wants everyone to hear the questions.
If you
That's
don't mind.
fine. I'm just trying to help her get an answer, you know.
Well,
if
thank
there's
you,
anything-
thank you, I'm getting there, thank you. So, and again, like, you know, like when we looked at the drawings, we didn't see multiple laterals on any property except one, which was Leroy Clark's, which we kind of question that because we don't think his workshop actually has water. But we didn't see any double or laterals on the design, so that would be all the additional work orders there. On 4.8, and I am getting to the end of this, by the way. Whenever possible, the building sewer lateral shall be brought to the building at an elevation below the basement floor. If all buildings in which any building drain is too low to permit gravity flow, which I thought we were, to the public sewer, sanitary sewage carriage by such building drain shall be lifted by an approved means of discharge. Meaning a grinder pump? Because I thought we got rid of that.
No, it's not grinder pump.
Well, it would be,
It's a pump to lead the sewer out from the house
it's a grinder pump.
to reach
It's a
the
grinder-
ground.
It's a grinder pump.
It's a grinder pump.
But we eliminated grinder pumps
Correct.
by sharing,
Correct.
so
But
this is redundant and not necessary.
well, no.
I'm confused.
I know you, so I don't know why we wouldn't keep it in there. It's not applicable to this system. It's not applicable to this system. I don't know about if this is a town-wide ordinance. Point of Woods has grinder pumps.
Yes, they do.
I don't know whether Miami Beach or any of the others will have grinder pumps, but Point of Woods definitely has grinder pumps. And so the ordinance isn't written for this particular project. The ordinance is written because we will have sewers in the town.
Oh, okay. I thought it was written for Soundview Area B and
In Hawks Nest?
yeah.
Well, no, it describes those as sewer districts, but it doesn't, it's a town ordinance. It's for the whole town. What if another section of town wants sewers?
Once, oh, okay.
Well, I mean, if Halls Road passed and a developer wanted to put 1,600 units there, I don't think he's gonna do that with a septic system. So he would want sewers. He may pay for the sewers, but he would want them.
Okay, thanks for clarifying. And the ordinance also talks about the wells. No water supply wells shall be allowed within 25 feet of a sewer. and we talked about this at length before, is the cost to insulate those existing wells built into the cost of the project? Because I know at one point the WPCA said they were going to pay for that expense out of the project cost, not make it the homeowner's expense. Is that incorporated in these
As a matter of
figures?
fact, the health department and DP have agreed to eliminate the double walled pipe that was required,
Mhm.
saving Miami Beach probably $2 million. Us, maybe 400,000,
Okay,
and using a fern coat over the bell and attached to the spigot end to seal that joint. So yes, it
so you
is.
know where those wells are? You've
Yes.
identified all those wells and
Yes.
what
I
needs to be
think
done?
there's 5.
I think there's quite
five
a
or
few
9.
more, but okay.
All right. Well, I know there's no more than 9
You know, there's no more than that?
within 25 feet of our.
And then the last part of getting to the end of here, only the Old Line WPCA and other duly authorized employees or agents of Old Line may perform maintenance or corrective actions to the sewage. I'm just asking who, as a volunteer on the WPCA, is qualified or licensed to perform that kind of work? And will they be paid for it? Is there a contingency for that? How is that going to be managed? And then the fine, I'm gonna try to move quickly for you, if you don't mind. The fine stipulating, in one place it says if you don't comply, it's $250, up to $250 per day. Another place it says it's $250 per day. It is either $250 per day or up to $250, but somewhere you have to make that correction.
Why?
And yes, that's what
Why?
it's, because it contradicts itself in this ordinance.
How does it contradict itself?
If you say it's up to $250, and
Yeah.
in another statement, you say it is $250.
What if, are you talking about? I mean, we're allowed to fine for different reasons. So
It
maybe,
doesn't say that, it just says a fine,
well, how do you get to the fine?
okay. Each violation of this ordinance shall be a separate municipal offense. Each day, any violation of the ordinance continues shall constitute a separate offense. Each separate offense under each separate offense under this chapter shall be punishable by a fine of $250 payable to the town of Old Lyme. Where I would say it wouldn't be, it would be payable to the sewer project, to the WPCA in a special fund for repairs or whatever, and not to the town general, deposits.
I think we
And I
had
would also
discussed.
say, and then earlier it says up to $250. I'm just saying, just clarify, is it up to $250? Is this
Well,
also
why
discretionary?
why can't the WPCA on a minor infraction find someone $25 a day?
I think it's just not being clear. It's saying that I'm gonna fine you 25, I'm gonna fine you 50, I'm gonna, I think you have to be, put a stake in the ground and say, this is what it is. Because if you find me this and you find him something else, I'm gonna have a problem with it.
Well, I would have a problem if I had the same offense and I was fined differently, but I don't know if all fines are worth $250.
I'm just bringing it to your attention, okay? That's how it's worded in here.
And I believe we questioned the check being payable to the town of Old Lyme, and I think it has something to do with legal.
And then lastly, I don't think that the fine should be $250 per day for every day. I mean, there's a lot of things in your ordinance that say this has to be inspected by the WPCA. I don't know who in the WPCA. And if we're all volunteers, I'm not sure that there will be somebody there to go there that day and inspect it. And that homeowner shouldn't have to pay a fine because they're delayed waiting for a volunteer to come and inspect something for them.
I don't believe anyone on the WPCA is inspecting anything. I think a representative hired by the
But that's
WPCA
what this says.
will do that.
Maybe
I'll have to-
that's
I'll
what
have
this
to look.
ordinance says.
So, so Mary, I'll have to review to see if we can assign the WPCA responsibility to a third party. I believe it's got to be in there somewhere, but if it's not, that's a good point.
That's it. That's all I have for today. Thank you.
Are there any other comments on the ordinance?
Is the 2022 ordinance still on the website? The first veneration. Would you know?
I would say that the ordinance that is on the website is probably the one prior to public comment. So it doesn't have public comment incorporated in it.
Okay.
I think that's right. I think that's right. I looked at,
Because I remember the lateral thing coming up on that one.
Yeah.
Erica, I'd like to send you a copy of this so that you can include it in the minutes. Thank
Okay,
you.
you can just email it over to me tonight or tomorrow morning would be great.
I will. Thank you. I'll do that.
So
That's on the agenda.
I'm looking for my
Correspondence.
agenda again.
Yeah.
Right, all right, so we'll go to correspondence, which I haven't received any real correspondence from that I have to share with the public. So, we'll go to public comment. Does anyone have public comment?
Yeah, this is Bill Randazzo. I do have a public comment.
Okay, Bill, please. Where do you live,
I know
Bill?
you guys. Pardon me?
Where do you live?
My
State your address.
My property's on Hartford Avenue. I actually live in Weathersfield. And
Okay,
let me just start this conversation off by saying I had a chance to read some articles like, I don't know, Connecticut Examiner and different things. And I think Mary wrote one and the first selectman had some stuff in there, and I agree with them wholeheartedly. And after listening to Mary tonight ask questions, I'm very, very impressed with her and her knowledge and her concern about what's happening down there. Now, I guess starting from the comments are great. They're great. I'm going to give you what I feel and tell you how I feel, but we can't have a discussion about it because that's part of your Robert's rules, I guess, that you guys implemented. But what I'd like to see in the future is if we're going to do comments, I think it's important that when you guys start off your next meeting, then if we're not going to have a discussion back and forth during the comment section, I think it's important that you guys address those comments that were said here at the end of this meeting. Okay? Next thing is I asked you guys last time we had this meeting here is to fix the website's email address to you guys. It doesn't work. You guys have 3 email addresses, and the only one that works is the one that goes directly to Steve, who says whatever his title is there. That's the only one. So I'll ask you again, could you please fix that? I think the second or third time I've asked that now. Now, I did talk to Steve, I believe, where we exchanged emails a few times, and I asked him about my personal property on Hartford Avenue and what I was going to do or try to do. And I got 3 different answers back. And the 4th answer I got back was very troublesome. And how I mean that is what he said to me, he said, look, I'm not on the Economic Commission. Well, you know something? You might not be on the Economic Commission, but you are on this commission. And if all the commissions together don't work in sync, nothing works. So you might think it's important for you guys to have your EDUs put in here, whatever. And I've asked you multiple times what my EDUs are. And the only time I actually got a normal answer is when I actually called Mary personally to ask her, And again, from listening to the conversations tonight, that might have changed again too. So I'm not even sure about that. So if I've got to invest $4 or $5 million, you guys are leaving me here in a quagmire. And that's not fair, because I'll put that money somewhere else. I don't need to put it there in Soundview. I mean, I've already done a nice job, knocked down buildings. I got one more building to knock down and make things good. But you guys haven't got back to me yet and told me what it's going to cost me for EDUs for that property, so I could go back to my banks and my investors and find out exactly what's going to happen here and what it's going to cost me. And until that happens, I guess I'll just have to move around and just do things a little bit differently and just walk away from Soundview, because I really don't care. My money can make money somewhere else. The next thing I'd ask you about is, you guys mentioned about an EDU. Could you guys explain to me, maybe you can't do it now because we can't have a discussion, in your comments next time, explain to me, when you guys do an EDU on a building lot, explain to me what a building lot is. All right? I want to know what the frontage, the depth, overall square footage. I think it's a fair question. And I guess that's about it, unless you guys have any questions for me. Oh, another thing, by the way, when you guys were talking about laterals versus what goes to a house, remember, when a lateral goes to a house off the main sewer system, all right, there is an area there of around 10 feet that the town will own, and that's where the lateral goes to, not to your curb. So I think correct your notes there, and maybe you might get this right. I've had a little experience doing this, like 50 years of building houses, putting in roads, and doing different things. So, you know, I know where the variances are. I know how things work, and I'm willing to discuss with any of you guys at any time. You can call me and talk to me, but I'm not getting the answers. And let me just go, I guess that's it. I'm covered. I covered my comments. I thank you for your time. And I do thank, I got to tell you, Mary, I don't even know Mary, and I'm very impressed with her down there, because she happens to live down there at the shore and knows a lot of the people that are there. And you've got Dennis Beluzzo, I think, and Dimitri that live on the shoreline here too, and they know the people. You guys know what the overall cost of this thing could be, can't be, what it might be, and everything else. So when I'm hearing some vague numbers come up, and Mary asked some very, very pointed questions, and I was very disappointed, I guess you, Steve, is you blew her off like she didn't know what she was talking about. She ate your lunch, and you can't even get back to it. So I really do wish you guys the best, and I wish you guys had a little more experience about what you guys are doing there, because if you think DEP is just going to come in there and mandate that, there's other options that were available 10, 15 years ago when I lived in Old Lyme Shores that I put through and that are working today. So any questions, please ask.
Thank you, Bill.
Um,
Are there any other questions?
The only thing I want to know is, am I going to get answers
No,
back? on these questions?
Bill, you've already exceeded the
I can't
time,
ask a
but
question?
I let you finish. I asked if there are any other questions from, I guess, any other people out there.
This is why you're not liked.
Well, that's okay. All right, Bill, thank you.
No,
Erica,
But I think Benny.
I do want Benny to talk. I want Erica to mute Bill, if she can.
Yeah,
Thank
I
you.
can.
Benny, could you state your name, full name, and address?
36 Portland.
Okay, thank you.
The funds, I think, a property owner should be
given a reasonable amount of time to fix the problem before you start fighting. Whatever.
Well,
You just get them with a start fighting, they should be, give them a reasonable amount of time to correct the violation, whatever it may be,
Mhm.
and then start fighting.
All right, so the chair can respond to some of these comments. I'll respond to yours. It says that the WPCA can fine you. Doesn't say has to, doesn't say when it's going to begin. I would imagine that a fine would be a last resort after trying to get the homeowner to alleviate the
Correct.
situation. All
Exactly.
right, I don't think that's the first go-to. It wouldn't be if I were still here. But it's a method to enforce the ordinance. It's not if someone's violating, I was already asked today or this week about why don't we start finding people that don't pump the same. I mean, we're a sewer avoidance town. If our records are correct and someone refuses to pump, we have the right to fine them. And maybe we will start if they refuse to do that. I mean, that's, but we send out our cards again and see where that's
30
at.
days, 60 days, whatever you decide on, and then they don't do it, you find.
Now, I'm sorry I had to Bill again, but I can't have you interrupting my meeting. I will get back to you. I'm allowed to comment on some of these things. So you and I went back and forth on emails, and you said that as chairman of the WPCA, I had a fiduciary right to spur economic development. And that's when I said, I don't have that at all. I'm responsible to ensure that the people in this town have safe drinking water and aren't polluting. If you don't want to build down there, that's fine by me. You do what you feel is necessary. I also ended up at the last email saying, if you come in and formally ask us to determine what your EDU will be, I'll bring it to the WPCA and we'll be able to determine what your EDUs will be. I said I wasn't going to do that because of the way your property is. We would need to see a set of plans or something that shows the building design. As far as
I showed that to you already. I sent you prints, so please stop.
you haven't sent me prints. You sent me a description.
I'm not even
Check your
arguing.
email.
You're too hard.
Check your email.
I've checked all my emails, sent the multiple prints out to you. Mary has my prints, and I'm sure she could share them with you guys at any point.
I have seen, well, he actually presented them to the Soundview Commission and Frank shared them. And they are beautiful. The design that he has in mind would really bring value and enhance not just Soundview, but this whole town. So we would like to see something like that developed here.
I asked him to formally submit the plans so that we could review them and determine what his EDUs will be.
Okay.
I don't want to go out via email as a single person and tell him something that would be incorrect.
Okay.
All right. I've asked you that. I can pull up the email and read it to you if you'd like, Bill.
Or Bill
I
can
can pull
just
up the print.
right? Bill, just send him the plan. Just send him your
I'll
plan
send
again.
Copy of plans again. And if you don't understand them, I'll help you walk through them.
Thank you. And then I guess the other thing is, we defined the lateral, we defined our lateral as going from the main to the house with ownership from the property line to the main being the town's and ownership from the property line into the house as being the owners. That's the definition. So I don't know.
The town has no easement at all on any of the property, like the sidewalks or nothing.
If it does, it would be on the zoning or on the pin. I don't know, but
Well,
easements are different than easements are different than property line. Easements mean
Excuse me.
that the town would have the right to go onto that section of easement to repair something. It doesn't mean we own it. It means it's an easement. The property line is still the
Exactly.
property line.
That's why I brought it. Exactly, and that's why I brought it up if you didn't hear me the first time. Usually most towns, everyone that I've built houses and developments in, you have a 10-foot easement. So you have electrical, water, gas, and different things that the utility company could come in and work on that property without disturbing your property. Of course, they would fix it and bring it back to grade and everything else like that, like you're supposed to.
Well, if the electric company has wire in that section, it would have to be an electric company easement, not a town easement. The town doesn't own the easement. It's the utility. that owns it.
So, right, the town. owns
The town, I don't think that's your property line. No, well,
Most towns have.
they have,
From the curb in,
Thank
they
you.
have to do work in the street, they do work, they put
I
their
see.
stuff
That's-
on the property and then bring it back.
yes, that's correct. It's an easement, but it's still your property. So when we define a lateral to the property line, that is what we own and what you own. It's to the property line, not to an easement somewhere off the property line. If it- if it breaks- if it breaks- If it,
If
right,
I
where
may-
do you live? Middletown? New Britain?
If
They
I
did that
may
in
say something here,
Middletown.
that's why most easements are 10 feet into a property line.
That's true.
So when a utility company comes in and has to do some work, repairs or something else, they don't destroy the road. That's
Okay,
why
that's
there's
true.
an easement.
That's my front yard.
But Bill, I'm not gonna argue over easements with you. Our lateral goes to the property line.
I would say that too, like the town, I had a problem with one of my rental properties and water was coming into the driveway. I thought I had to repair it until a workman told me, no, the apron belongs to the town and they had to come repair it. So I think it's the same principle as what Bill is trying to stress. It's not to the property line.
No, it is. In our ordinance, if this ordinance passes, you're responsible for your lateral from your house to the property line.
Which might not be the curb.
It may not be the curb. It's to the property line. There may not even be a curb. Whatever your property line is what you own.
understand.
Okay,
Just clarification, because I understand what Bill's talking about.
I understand what Bill's talking about.
You know, down the road, when
But-
you're not here to explain these things, Steve, when you're no longer part of the WPCA and someone else has to come in, we have to make this as clear as possible.
It is very.
It's clear.
It's very clear.
It's clear.
It's to the property line.
The lateral-
Easement or not easement,
It's to the property line. How,
It doesn't get any clearer than that.
That's where you gotta connect.
It's just like, so if my property, so in my house, I have a sidewalk, right? I'm not responsible for the sidewalk.
you're
Somehow.
responsible to shovel it.
Pardon?
You're
I shovel it,
responsible.
but I don't have to repair it. I don't have to repair it.
No, you don't have to repair it.
So, all right, let's just move on.
You don't have to repair it. Okay. It's, the town has decided that you don't have to repair that they would.
Because they own the sidewalk. I don't.
Right, and I own the lateral to the property line. If the lateral goes under an easement, you still own the property, it's still yours. I mean,
The easement is just granting permission for someone to do work on it, and they're responsible to repair that area in the easement.
Well, you guys are in the trade, so I'm sure you know better than I what's clear and what isn't clear, because you're all in this trade, right?
And if I may say something, I can't wait for one of you guys to dig up a main road and the town or the WPCA is gonna come in and say, I'm gonna pay for that.
I have no clue what you're talking about, Bill. But I'll tell you what, Bill, I dug up 7 miles of road in Middletown. I put
I
in
don't care how.
7 miles of sewer, 7
put-
miles, well, not 7 miles of drainage and water line with laterals and services, water services to the curb. to the property line, wherever it was. Sometimes it's 10 feet in, sometimes it wasn't. I've done this actual physical work for 35 years now. I think I know what I'm talking about, but maybe I don't.
Well, actually, you're right. You said the right word. You think you know what you're talking about. Let me try to explain to you something. If the water line is damaged, the lateral is damaged from the main trunk in the road to the street, and they have to go into the street now to fix that line, that person who owns that house, per your rules, is not responsible for the street, not responsible for any curb readjustments. The town or the WPCA will pay for that.
That's correct. So you understand the ordinance.
That's all. That's all I'm asking you. That was a simple question.
That didn't sound like a question, but yes, regardless, that's correct.
The same question that Martha had at the last meeting, when it came to this ordinance applying to the PBAs. When you say that the town, therefore, as Bill is trying to explain, would own going in and repairing whatever damage to the infrastructure in the road. Is that true? If it's true also for the PBAs, and she wanted a clarification from an attorney on that point. So
Yeah, I mean, that's good. That's a good thing, but I would imagine that the entity that's managing the whole system in the operating and maintenance agreement, whatever entity it is, whether it's the old line WPCA or some other corporation that's formed to manage the system and collects the money for repairs and maintenance, that whoever that is, the money comes from the repairs and maintenance from everyone. So most likely that entity is quote, the town would pay for any break because everyone's contributing to that fund.
Any break like over in Old Line Shores? Is that what you're saying? Because I think that was Martha's.
Yes.
And so we got a legal opinion on that. That's what.
Well, I don't know. I don't know. We're getting a legal opinion. I told you, the thing's in for review.
I know that's what she was asking you last month.
Yes, I understand the question. It's in for legal review.
So we don't know.
So we don't know. So anyway, I got transformed. Any other public comment?
You're gonna need a company to maintain the pump station. They come in once a month.
Yeah, so
You're gonna need someone for jet riding if there's any backups.
we have gotten quotes from the town of East Lyme to maintain our system after it's built. They're old,
Pump station?
everything.
They're gonna do the dioxide.
Everything. They will be contracted to maintain and operate the system.
Tucker Mechanical. Now it can.
Tucker.
I would think.
Is that Tucker Mechanical, really?
Yes.
Isn't that a conflict? Did they submit a bid? Oh, wow.
No, that's
They know.
Did they win one of the bids?
GA Fleet. I doubt it. I mean, they do, but they don't mean they do service, but usually it's an outside entity. I mean, New London's whole system, their whole sewer treatment is their sewer treatment facility, their pump stations, their laterals, their sewer mains is managed by Veolia. Is it Veolia still?
Veolia.
Yeah. Veolia still.
Yeah.
I mean, it's an outside company that gets paid $60 million a year or whatever.
You're gonna need an outside company. How is that?
Correct. And as I said, we've gotten quotes from the town of East Lyme's WPCA to manage and operate our system. But we will get other quotes, I'm sure, but that was an extremely viable thing. So if there's no other public comment, could we have a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Meeting's adjourned, 9:00. Thank you, everyone.